Hi, this is Katie Ethington with Business 483. I just like to give my end of lesson reflection for week 11. With this one, we went over two cases this week. One was for rent juice, and then the other was for Cloudflare. So, just quickly, the rent juice case, the big decision was, do we take money now or not? I decided that they should take the money now and use it to grow and try to improve their sources and get them into other markets. So I think that they should have taken it. It was a very fair valuation, and I think it would have been very helpful. So that's where I landed on that one. The key case I would take away, or I guess the key question I would take away from that is when you're in a company, is it worth your company to risk having the money now and maybe not being able to use it for the purposes that you'd like to use it for in the future? Or is it riskier to not take it and have the chance that your company might have a bad quarter or might not meet their goals and then have that valuation be lower? So with this one for rent juice, I always decide on the fact that the risk was greater, that they might not have a great quarter and they might not get the same valuation in a few months. So that's where I landed there. As for the Cloudflare, kind of felt like a very different case. However, this one, it was more, why do they have problems with their cash flow and why are their employees leaving? Now, as for their cash flow, pretty simple. Very kind of going back to the Dropbox case, which is they didn't have the ability to scale up their company and to have it make them profitable. So I kind of went with, okay, they need to increase their costs, they need to increase their conversion rate, and they need to make their fixed costs for their employees more manageable. And I think that a large part of that is reasons why their employees are leaving. They don't have the proper management. There's huge miscommunications as for what people are doing, and that's a big problem. So I think that when you the question I would kind of take away from that case is, are you listening to your employees? And I think that's something that they failed to do, and they lost, I'd say, 4 people. One of them was obviously a resignation just because there was a miscommunication, but they lost, at least 4 people because they weren't listening to what they were saying. They weren't giving them structure, they weren't giving them feedback, and they weren't listening to the little things that they could fix that would have kept these very valuable employees there. So I'd say the biggest thing I'd take from there is, are you listening to your employees? And of course, obviously not just listening, but are you actively listening? Are you coming up with a plan to help this issue rather than just pushing it off and saying, oh no, that's not in our culture. Our culture is you do all the work and there's no management, no structure. That's how we do things. And I think that you need to kind of value your employees as individuals and realize that just because you're wanting to be in the office 24/7 doesn't mean that they want to. And you need to take that into account and treat them like people. So that's my end of the week's reflection. I think it was a great week. 2 very different cases. And I think that they were both definitely valuable lessons as for, when you take the money and how are you treating your employees? 2 very important things. Thank you for listening.